The war between Russia and Ukraine has been going on for over a month now, and today on Halftime Football, I'm going to discuss exactly why I believe that the response of the footballing world to this conflict is one of the worst things that the sport has seen in recent times. So let's start off by taking a look at what activism has actually occurred. In the biggest news of all, Russia's national team were banned by FIFA indefinitely, meaning they couldn't play their World Cup playoff games, which were supposed to be played over this international break, and Russian clubs were banned from all UEFA competitions, meaning that Spartak Moscow weren't allowed to play Leipzig in the Europa League round of 16. UEFA also moved the Champions League final from St. Petersburg to Saint-Denis after all the pressure from outside. Generally across Europe, slogans have been put on advertising hoardings, put on tifos, put on big screens, and put on special armbands, all of which display messages of solidarity as well as messages against war. Now, I'm not saying that these are bad messages by any means, please don't take it that way. I fully support the activism and my heart goes out to every citizen of Ukraine and their loved ones, but for the love of God, the hypocrisy and double standards within all this in the footballing world are unbelievable. In terms of football itself, the biggest example of all that I can think of when it comes to shunning solidarity for other nations has to be Palestine. When it came to people donning the colours of Palestine, Celtic were fined by UEFA after their fans flew Palestinian flags in a game against Hapoel Beersheva, and Paul Pogba, Ben Mendy, Hamza Chowdhury and Riyad Mahrez were all heavily scrutinised by local media because they flew Palestinian flags after games, with the constant call of keeping politics out of football echoing from the media. Yet nowadays, Premier League players are walking out with their entire teams wrapped up in Ukrainian colours without any backlash whatsoever. Not only that, but you've got idiots like these posting to the Telegraph saying that Ukraine should be given a special free pass to the World Cup, despite the company literally making 2 articles in the same day about how players flying the Palestine flag should be sanctioned. Not only do we have the Ukrainian flags flying, but we also have t-shirts being worn before and after games with messages of solidarity and messages against war being worn, which is great, until you consider the fact that Freddie Canute was fined after revealing a shirt with just the word Palestine on it after scoring against Deportivo, and Mohamed Abutrika was warned by FIFA for mixing politics with sport after revealing a shirt which read "Sympathise with Gaza" after he scored at AFCON. I hope you're starting to get the point here. Also, Palestine has been calling on every sporting association to ban Israel competing for years, but they've got no replies. And I'm sure the citizens of Iraq, Afghanistan, Libya and Syria were all delighted to see FIFA turn a blind eye to the US despite their countless wars and invasions against Middle Eastern countries. Even worse, FIFA's president, Infantino, has even visited Israel and gave them the idea of being a co-host of the 2030 World Cup. There's also the fact that Arsenal effectively banished Mesut Ozil after he spoke out against the Uyghur conflict happening in China. Arsenal immediately distanced themselves from the comments Ozil made on Twitter, saying that as a club they always remain apolitical. Well, these images sure do look apolitical, don't they? This moves in a more governmental direction, but it's still quite related. I think the decision to strip Roman Abramovich of owning Chelsea was an absolute disgrace given the context. Just hear me out. Not only was Roman about to donate upwards of £2 billion of the proceeds he received of the club towards aid in Ukraine, but the UK government is letting the Saudi regime who own Newcastle carry out several state executions as well as actually financing the Saudis' invasion of Yemen. No one seemed to question Man City or PSG's owners about the several human rights violations in the UAE or Qatar, did they? Please, I beg, just have some consistency here. FIFA also gave into the pressure of giving Qatar the 2022 World Cup, and the human rights violations there are so vast it's unbelievable. And the World Cup before that, well, they were quite happy to work with Putin closely despite the annexation of Crimea in 2014, the invasion of Georgia in 2008, and not to mention Russia's constant bombings of Syria. FIFA knew exactly what Putin had done to these places, as well as the several offshore assassination attempts and the crimes against his own people. Why is it only now that they started to put their foot down? The answer? Well, because it's lucrative for them. It's all about money and PR. The top dogs across all the footballing bodies could not care less about the wars in Syria, Iraq and Palestine, because if they did punish them, they'd have to go against those who present really lucrative markets and TV deals for them. Take China for example. As soon as Ozil made his comment about the Uyghurs, China stopped broadcasting Arsenal games and in short heavily threatened the Premier League and Arsenal that they would pull out of TV deals if they supported Ozil's comments. Since China were the Premier League's largest foreign broadcaster and their biggest foreign market, they really couldn't afford the lost revenue of games not being shown and fans not being able to purchase merchandise. So logically, the Premier League and Arsenal decided to sweep Ozil's comments under the rug, pretend they never happened, and Ozil basically never really played for Arsenal ever again. Also, as I said, it happens because it's really lucrative for public relations as well. The press on the Russia-Ukraine war has been absolutely insane, well, at least by comparison to other incidents going on in the world. This adds a load of pressure onto every sporting body to take some sort of stand against Russia, because if they don't, they'll get a really bad rap in the media and may even lose viewers and broadcasting. FIFA just stood by and watched thousands of Yemeni, Syrian, Afghan and the lives of civilians in countless other countries be taken, all under the cop-out phrase, keep politics out of football, yet here we are today with all these gestured political sanctions against Russian football. You can also say they do it because there's more implication to Europe. Well, yes, that is true, but the morality behind that is absolutely insane. War is war, no matter where it is. Civilians, children, mothers, fathers, so many lives are suffering because of these heinous acts, especially in the Middle East and Africa. No one life is worth more than another. You can't just flip your values about politics not being allowed in football once some country near you starts being affected. That's so close-minded, it's unbelievable. This all begs the question, where do FIFA draw the line when it comes to involving politics in sport? My whole point is either just keep politics out of football for good or don't. Just please stop being so inconsistent about it all. Please don't interpret this as me supporting Russia. I'm against Russia as much as every other sane person on this planet. It's just the hypocrisy that angers me so much. Anyway, that's all I have for you today. Thank you very much for watching. Sorry to get a little bit more political today, but it's still very related to football and the world at the minute. But anyway, if you did enjoy, please like and subscribe. And if you disagree, please let me know why down below. I'd love to have a good discussion with you lot in the comments. And I'll see you next time.